What's good, YouTube? Dmgaming here, guys. And in today's video, I want to address the longevity and support for Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. Let's go. All right, y'all. So I do want to start out today's video by giving a big, huge shout out to Polygon, as well as Mr. Ryan Gilliam. Guys, they posted this article yesterday. In Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, you can upgrade Goku with the food, training, and power of friendship. They gave, and this is the author of that article. What's amazing about this is this right here. They're talking about the game and stuff, and they mention our channel here. Here's Dmgaming 5's video on the extensive Kakarot skill tree, and they linked that video. Y'all, I cannot, like, that literally brought me to tears yesterday because, I mean, just everything, the whole year and everything we've been through and working hard and stuff like that for the channel, like, this is awesome. I mean, in Polygon, they have, social media wise, Twitter almost 1 million followers and YouTube's almost 1 million subscribers. Like, so to have that kind of exposure for the channel, for a content creator, like, that's amazing. And I'm very grateful for that. I'm very grateful for y'all's support, because without that, you know, stuff like this wouldn't be possible. What I want to talk about today is, of course, the longevity of Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. Now, I hear people talking more and more about sequels and stuff like that. But guys, in this article here from one of the developers, the lead developers in the game, they asked him, do you think this game could be the beginning of a franchise, considering that the Dragon Ball saga is very long and there's likely room for several games, or you're working on Kakarot as a standalone game? And this is exactly what he said. At the moment, keyword, we're thinking of it as a standalone game. So this doesn't rule out a sequel or anything like that. I know some of y'all are looking for, you know, Dragon Ball Super Kakarot, you know, or Dragon Ball Kakarot. You know, a lot of people wanted the game to start with Dragon Ball, and some people wanted the game to start with Super, you know, and things like that. But guys, at the moment, they're only looking at it as a standalone game. And today I want to talk about the longevity of Kakarot, because with the content that's available at their fingertips and with the way that the game is designed, it is a extremely real possibility that the game could just be Kakarot Dragon Ball Z, and it could last for I would say up to 2 years. Because first you have Dragon Ball. They could at any point in time with DLC take us back and let us play through Dragon Ball. We have already in the game pretty much the same locations. Even Yamcha's hideout is in the game as a location. So you already have that groundwork there. I mean, Dragon Ball didn't change locations until they got the GT. They added some different locations. But as far as Dragon Ball goes, you could easily implement a story into this game and cover the entirety of Dragon Ball, which mostly took place in the world tournament stage. You see what I'm saying? So Dragon Ball is a very real possibility, and it's something that's very interesting, especially with an open world or semi-open world RPG. I mean, that fits the mode of Dragon Ball perfectly. So that in and of itself could be an entire game by itself, which could last 6 months to a year as far as content. So that's, you know, time right there. Also, Dragon Ball GT. Now, I know a lot of people aren't fans of GT. Me personally, I liked it. I didn't have a problem with GT. GT has some awesome characters. Every Dragon Ball game that you're playing now has a GT character in it. You see what I'm saying? So GT is very prominent. That's another thing. You know, GT took place on different planets, so you would take a lot of off-world locations. You would increase the game's reach in that regard, because the majority of the locations are on Earth. So going into GT, you would have the different planets that they visited and stuff like that, as well as some of the more iconic characters that we remember, like Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Vegeta. You have Baby, you have Super Android 17. You see what I'm saying? You have the Shinrons and stuff like that. So that would be in and of itself a way to expand the game as well. Guys, before I continue, I do have to say, check out the merchandise. The link is going to be in the description for that. And use promo code Dmgaming for extra 15% off. That ends on the 17th, which is the same day that Dragon Ball Z Kakarot comes out. And if they do well enough, then I'll keep that 15% going. But at this point, we're trying to generate some sales in that regard. I'm just being real with you guys. But also, you want to check out Beautiful Halo, and here's their ad real quick.
You can find all kinds of themes merch on beautifulhalo.com. We have anime, comic, game, memes, and many other themes merch. Check the link in the description and find your favorite hoodies and tees now.
Links to all of those are going to be in the description box below, and Beautiful Halo was kind enough to give us a discount code, promo code Dmgaming as well, to give y'all some discounts on those. Some people have already ordered stuff from them as well. So, Dragon Ball Super. Now, I believe, personally, that Dragon Ball Super is going to be the next saga for the game, the next arc that's included in the season pass. Dragon Ball Super is something that is continually going. Like, when people say, can the sequel be a Dragon Ball Super game? In my mind, I don't see why that's necessary. And I'm going to explain why. The reason I don't feel that it's necessary to have to make a sequel just to include Super is because they could easily include it now and extend the longevity of the game. The only reason in my mind to see a sequel to the game is just to improve game mechanics that the way that the game is made, the architecture of the game doesn't allow for it. You get what I'm saying? So, you know, people want better combos. I get that. That's something that, honestly, they could add to the game now. It's not something that they have to make a new game for. In our skill tree, there is a node that we can upgrade to give us extra hits in our combos. You see what I'm saying? Things like that are already in place for the game. Like, I would really like to see just how broad the reach is on stuff that they can add and take away from the game. I look at a game like Destiny. Destiny is a massive multiplayer, it's an MMORPG. Destiny has even changed things in the game, like as far as attacks that you can do in the game. You see what I'm saying? And they've added those things. Now, I don't know, is it because the game is online based that they could just update that? Could they do the same thing for a disc-based game through downloads and updates? I would think that they could. However, I'm not 100% sure on that, but the possibility is there, guys. My point is, there's not necessarily a need for a sequel when you already have a blueprint, a roadmap, and a foundation to build upon to add content to. You know what I'm saying? So, because what ends up happening in my mind is we end up looking at something like a xenoverse. They put out a part 2 to the game. Yes, they improved some minor things. Like, I'm not gonna say minor. Xenoverse 2's combat improved dramatically, in my opinion. But other than that, there wasn't much improvement to the game. You see what I'm saying? I don't want another situation like that, where this game comes out. We got Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. They add Super as DLC. They add GT, they add Dragon Ball, they add movie characters. And with that alone, guys, the way that this game is structured, we're looking at 1.5 to 2 years worth of support for the game. That's just being legit. Look at the same thing for Dragon Ball Fighters. Look at the same thing for Dragon Ball Xenoverse. Now, I know people are going to, well, the thing about those games lasting as long is because of the multiplayer. I get that. You see what I'm saying? But with RPG, guys, there are people still playing The Witcher 3. Come on. You see what I'm saying? When you add in subquests, when you add in collections, exploration, and all this different kind of stuff, you add into the longevity of these games. But adding those things into the game, then say in 3 years when they put out a sequel to the game, you have the exact same storylines because you've already put them in the previous game. The only thing is they improve, say, the combat. People who are arguing about it being the same old story, blase, blase, they're going to, at that point, have a legitimate argument to say this is the exact same thing we got last year. We'll be doing the same thing that we said about Xenoverse, from Xenoverse 1 to Xenoverse 2. That's why, to me, Xenoverse 2 wasn't as popular. It didn't last as long because literally we had played the exact same thing with Xenoverse 1. There was just slight improvements that, in my opinion, could have been done through updates, but I don't know how their development process works to be able to say that is a certainty or a fact. And speaking of movie characters, that's another thing that can just be added to the game. You see what I'm saying? Because a lot of people request it, a lot of people want it. I believe that once this game comes out, and I'm going to continue to do this on the channel as well, is to provide information and feedback from you guys to them by means of videos on things that need to be improved in the game, things that people want to add to the game, because I guarantee you guys, there are going to be things that we want. There are going to be things that we see that we're going to be like, can this be improved? Can that be improved? And so that's, the content, people asking what's going to happen once the game comes out. We're going to stream it. We're going to do walkthroughs. We're going to do let's plays, but we're also going to look at the game as we play it and see what needs to be improved and relay that information. Now, in my opinion, one of the biggest things that they can do if they don't want to go to Super route, don't want to go to Dragon Ball route, don't want to go to movie character route, don't want to go to GT route, is they could very easily just continue on with original stories. Now, I'm not going to say very easily. I'm going to say it's a difficult task. Here's the thing about original content. And if you read that Polygon article, I think they talk about this in the Polygon article as well. That's Z-Orbs Open World. It may not have been in this article that I read it in, but it's an article that I did read where they talked about how it's difficult with original content because their mindset, they're not just making up stories. The way that they're doing the subquests and the original content and the unexplored lore for the game is it doesn't take away from the main story. It's not its own separate entity, but it works in combination with the story. You see what I'm saying? They said that with these subquests and stuff like that, they didn't want to make something like just entirely new to the extent of where it's its own thing. You get what I'm saying? They don't want it to interfere with the storyline. They want, whenever you look at the subquest, whenever you look at the unexplored lore, and when you look at the story, they all come together cohesively to form one big picture with great background and great depth. You see what I'm saying? It's almost like they're using the game subquest and unexplored lore to add to the already extensive canon lore of the game. You see what I'm saying? So whenever you're adding things like original characters and stuff like that, you have to make it so that it doesn't interfere with the story. Now, I did a video a long time ago about, Dragon Ball Z Vegeta, like if they explored Vegeta's childhood or if they explored Frieza's childhood or, stuff like that. Things like that are possibilities. I'm not saying, I don't even think stuff like that has even crossed their mind for the game, but I'm just saying when you start getting into the realm of original characters like Banyu, what's going to be her backstory? What's going to be her connection with Jace and the Ginyu Force? We already know a little bit of it, but how in depth will the game go into that? Because when you're talking about Banyu and you're talking about the Ginyu Force, then you're going to have to give some more background information on the Ginyu Force. And the issue comes in, okay, we're giving more information on the Ginyu Force. How do we do that without changing the present timeline or their timeline when they came into Dragon Ball Z? You get what I'm saying? And if you can do that without interfering, then you can make content for days and days and days and days, and that's off of one single character. You see what I'm saying? So imagine, if they did that with some of the other characters, and with Toriyama working hand in hand on this in this game, what he says goes. And we know that sometimes he puts stuff out there that doesn't quite line up, but it's still good content at the end of the day. So these are things that we have to consider. Will there be a sequel to the game? I don't know. At this point in time, it's not necessary. It's not even necessary to really sit down and think about it. We can talk about it. I've been one to do stuff like that. That's unlogical, but it isn't. It is something to think about. Like, but right now, like they said, at that moment, he said we're thinking of it as a standalone game. I think what it really depends on is our feedback once the game comes out, what we would like to see in the game and stuff like that. And if it's something that they can do and make it work, then they're gonna do it. But if it's something that's going to require them to revamp how the game is built and stuff like that, I think at that point in time they get into looking at, okay, we probably want to do a sequel for this game. And I think the sales kind of go into that as well. But I think they're going to explore the DLC route first and stuff like that, the season pass route, kind of like that, and see how that goes. Kind of like Xenoverse. Xenoverse 2 is at the point where they don't need to add any more content. It's just not doing any good. They need to come out with a completely new Xenoverse game, and I would like to explore those ideas on the channel as well, and I will start incorporating videos into that once Dragon Ball Z Kakarot comes out and we get going with that on the channel. Also, before I leave out, guys, I know yesterday that they posted a new trailer. I know that they posted a new trailer for the game that involves, and I'm just putting this here while I go find this video that I'm looking for. I know that they did that, guys, but the reason why I'm not covering that video, there were some minor things, some very small things that were put in there as well that wasn't in the Japanese version of the trailer. But if you go to, I'm clicking all over the place. If you go to the playlist, there was a video we did about 11 months ago. How did that one get up there? That shouldn't be number 50. I think I rearranged that on accident. Where is that video at? I can't find it. There's a video that I did on the channel about the trailer, about the Japanese trailer, and we broke that video down. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because you can go and find that on the channel, and there's no need to, right here, this is it. Dragon Ball Z Kakarot character progression trailer translated breakdown. This is the exact same trailer that they showed in the English version, and all I did was broke it down into Japanese, from the Japanese, and just told you what they were saying and everything like that. For the most part, it's the same trailer. There are some differences that they didn't show, as far as like video content and stuff like that, but for the most part, the information is the same. So you can go and check that out. That's why I didn't do another video. I didn't feel like it would be justice to do a completely new video on something that I would just literally be saying the exact same things. So for those of y'all who are asking, it is on the playlist, and that's the name of the video, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot character progression trailer translated breakdown. So go and check that out. But guys, that's all I got for right now. Get off here because I got to go to work. Until next time, y'all, thanks for watching. Peace.